In harakiri, a man picks up a bamboo sword lying on the ground and drives it into his own abdomen again and again. From his expression alone, it is clear that the act of seppuku is excruciatingly painful. The bamboo blade is not sharp enough. It is not easy to cut into the body. Enduring unbearable agony, he forces himself forward, using the leverage of the wooden floor to push the bamboo sword deeper into his body, again and again, until the blade finally snaps in two. The pain becomes so intense that he can no longer endure it. He begs the attending kaishakunin, the second, whose duty is to deliver the final beheading strike, to quickly end his suffering. But the response he receives is cold and final. This deliberate refusal turns what should have been a ritual death into prolonged torture. In absolute despair, the man bites down and tears off his own tongue, dying miserably in unbearable agony. Released in 1962, this samurai film completely overturned the traditional genre that glorified samurai loyalty and the honor of Bushido. It became the first systematic cinematic critique of the hypocrisy of samurai ethics. Director Masaki Kobayashi created the film as an indictment of militaristic distortion, rigid samurai ideology, and the class indifference hidden beneath the appearance of honor. It also reflects post-war Japan's blind mythologizing of the samurai spirit. Because of this, upon its release, the film was fiercely attacked by extremist groups in Japan. The opening image of the film is deeply ironic, a suit of armor shrouded in mist. The director frames it with high ceremonial reverence, surrounded by smoke, shot from a low angle, transforming the two clans' ancestral red armor, akazoni, into something like a sacred idol. This armor represents the two clans' power and samurai glory. But beneath its magnificent exterior lies the blood and suffering of countless disenfranchised ronin. In 1630, during the early Tokugawa shogunate, when peace was gradually stabilizing, the shogunate began consolidating power by dissolving domains and confiscating lands to prevent rebellion. Many samurai were suddenly dismissed and became ronin overnight. Although samurai still occupied a privileged position above farmers, artisans, and merchants, many of them had no skills outside swordsmanship. They could not farm or conduct business. Deprived of livelihood, many ronin began appearing at the residences of daimyo, claiming they intended to commit seppuku. In reality, most did not want to die. They used the threat of suicide as leverage to gain sympathy, money, or employment. Some were supported. Some were given relief supplies. Over time, this practice degenerated into a form of extortion. The two clan, a powerful family from Tatami province famous for its red armored troops, became deeply troubled by these repeated extortion attempts. One day, a ronin named Shijiwa Motom arrives at the two clans' Edo residence, requesting permission to commit seppuku on their grounds. Kageyu Saito, the elder of the two clan, initially considers simply giving him money to send him away. But a senior retainer, Sawagata Hikakuro, argues against this approach. He believes that if they give money once, more ronin will continue to come and extort them. He suggests making an example of one man to deter others. With the tacit approval of the elder of the two clan Kageyu Saito, Sawagata Hikakuro, along with two other retainers, Yuzaki Hayato and Kawabe Yumenisuke, decide to turn the situation against the ronin. They will force him to complete seppuku. After serving tea and sweets, the retainers inform Shijiwa Motom that the lord is willing to meet him, and instruct him to bathe and change his clothes first. Shijiwa Motom is filled with anticipation. But when he sees the clothes laid out before him, he is stunned. It is a white ceremonial death robe. There is no doubt, it is clothing prepared for the dead. Confused and unsettled, he looks on. But Sawagata Hikakuro coldly tells him that the lord admires his courage and will fulfill his wish to die by seppuku. Shijiwa Motom urgently pleads for a few more days. They refuse without hesitation and block all escape routes. With nowhere left to go, Shijiwa Motom is forced to change into the white robe and wait for the ritual to begin. Before the ritual began, the assembled retainers inspected his sword. To their astonishment, they discovered that the blade was made of bamboo. A samurai sword represents honor and identity. This discovery convinces everyone that he is a fraud. Addressing the gathered warriors of the two household, the elder of the two clan Kageyu Saito declared that Japan had enjoyed peace for so long that many young samurai had forgotten the brutal realities of death and warfare. He hoped that this seppuku would serve as a lesson and opportunity for the younger generation to witness how a true samurai faced death with dignity. Kneeling before them, Motom pleaded once more. He begged for a single day's reprieve. Again, nobody showed the slightest compassion. The men of the two clan placed the bamboo sword before him and ordered him to begin immediately. Motom knew perfectly well that a bamboo blade could never perform a proper seppuku. Yet he also knew that he had no remaining choice. With trembling hands and overwhelming dread, he slowly drew the bamboo weapon from its scabbard. Only then did everyone present clearly see what it truly was, a crude bamboo blade. But even after the truth had become undeniable, the two clan refused to stop the ceremony. Instead, they coldly instructed him to continue. This is one of the most cruel contradictions in the story. The man carries a bamboo sword because he has been crushed by life and can no longer maintain his samurai status. A sword defines a samurai. Without it, he is no longer one. But society does not allow him to become an ordinary man. He must remain a samurai in name, obey samurai rules, and die in his samurai way. Thus emerges the central paradox. He is no longer a samurai, but he is still forced to die as one. The bamboo sword becomes a symbol of fake honor and hollow tradition. But the real falseness is not the bamboo sword itself, it is everyone present. In the eyes of the two clan, the face of the system and the decorum of the samurai took precedence over all human compassion. In reality, however, a system that failed even to feed its own people possessed a brand of dignity that was nothing more than a fig leaf for the ruling class. Months later, another ronin arrives at the two residents, Tsugumo Hanshiro. Unable to survive economically, he also requests permission to commit seppuku. The elder of the two clan Kageyo Saito again praises his courage. But Hanshiro makes a condition: he demands that Sawagata Hikokuro serve as his kaishakunin. However, Sawagata Hikokuro is not present. He then names Yazaki Hayato and Kawabe Yumenisuke instead, but they too are absent. At this point, the elder of the two clan realizes something is wrong. He orders the man surrounded. But Hanshiro calmly asks to tell his story before any action is taken. He reveals that he knew the previous ronin personally. Shijiwa Motome was the son of an old acquaintance and had grown up alongside his daughter Tsugumo Miho. The two later married. After the Fukushima domain was confiscated, Motome's father died of despair due to lack of livelihood. Hanshiro took Motome and Miho to Edo, where they survived by making and selling paper umbrellas. Motome worked as a teacher in a private school. Miho later gave birth to a child. Despite poverty, the family still held hope. But tragedy struck again. After childbirth, Miho never fully recovered and became bedridden due to exhaustion. To pay for her treatment, Motome abandoned his samurai status and sought manual labor. However, under the Tokugawa caste system, samurai were forbidden from farming, manufacturing, or commerce. Hiring a samurai was also illegal for merchants. As a result, Motome could find no work. Forced into desperation, he sold his sword, the symbol of his identity, to pay for medical care. Their child also fell ill with a fever. With nowhere left to turn, Motome told his father-in-law he would go borrow money from a friend and return by evening. He never came back on time. That night, he finally returned, but not alone. He was accompanied by the men of the two clan. After being forced into a brutal bamboo sword seppuku, Motome died in agony. Instead of treating his remains with dignity, the three senior retainers used a wooden board to carry his body home. In front of his sick wife and infant child, they mocked him mercilessly, accusing him of being a fraud who attempted to extort money through fake seppuku and meta-deserved death. They ridiculed him for selling his sword and abandoning samurai honor, calling him an unworthy ronin. They deliberately left his corpse at his family's doorstep as a warning: this is what happens to those who attempt to deceive the domain. It also served as intimidation to other desperate ronin. After witnessing her husband's mutilated body and enduring the humiliation, Miho's already fragile mental state collapsed completely. Soon after, both she and the child died. The family was destroyed. Only Hanshiro remained. This tragedy became the driving force behind his decision to seek revenge at the two clan. Sitting in the two courtyard, Hanshiro reveals the truth. Motome did not come to extort anyone. He abandoned his samurai pride only to save his dying wife and child. He was forced into impossible circumstances by rigid social structures. He was not a coward. Rather, those who forced him to die in torture while pretending to uphold honor were the ones who had lost their humanity. At first, the samurai listening grow arrogant and dismissive. Then they grow uneasy. Finally, their faces turn pale. Their ideology has been directly exposed as hypocrisy. When it comes time for Hanshiro's own seppuku, he demands that the same three retainers who forced Motome's death serve as his kaishakunin. But all three suddenly claim illness and refuse to appear. With a cold smile, Hanshiro threw down 3 topknots, revealing that he had already defeated the 3 men in private duels and shaved off the topknots that symbolized their very lives as samurai. To cover up their defeat, these 3 had been hiding shamefully at home, waiting for their hair to grow back. In samurai culture, losing one's topknot was a disgrace worse than death. Normally, such humiliation required seppuku. The elite samurai, who usually carried themselves with such lofty arrogance, showed nothing but cowardice and hypocrisy when faced with real life and death stakes in true disgrace. When the 3 severed topknots are thrown onto the ground, the 2 household has already lost. Enraged, the chief retainer orders Hanshiro killed. Once again, violence replaces reason. What follows is a prolonged battle. Hanshiro, despite his age, fights alone against the 2 clans' warriors. He is a veteran of real warfare from the late Sengoku period, while the 2 retainers are trained in ceremonial swordplay rather than real combat. Moreover, their morale collapses once they learn the truth about Motome's death. Their numerical advantage becomes meaningless. Hanshiro cuts through them and enters the clan shrine, smashing the red armor that symbolizes the 2 clans' honor. He coldly declares that their samurai pride is nothing more than decorative signage, empty and worthless inside. He does not kill the elder of the 2 clan immediately because the man is irrelevant. What matters is destroying the system itself. The armor represents history, legitimacy, and institutional authority. When it falls, the symbolic god of the samurai order also falls. Unable to defeat him with swords, the clan calls in a rifle unit. This further exposes their hypocrisy. When tradition fails, they resort to modern firearms. Hanshiro is eventually overwhelmed by gunfire and dies. After the incident, the 2 clan records: 4 samurai killed, 8 injured. Sawagata Hikokuro, Yazaki Hayato, and Kawabe Yumenasuke ordered to commit seppuku. To protect their reputation, they publicly claimed these men died of illness. Motome and Hanshiro are officially recorded as having committed seppuku. The clan presents Motome's death as proof that fraudulent ronin extortion has been eliminated, enhancing their prestige. Hanshiro's death is labeled insanity-induced seppuku. The courtyard is cleaned. The shattered armor is repaired. All traces are erased. No stain remains in official history. This final act reveals the core truth. History is written by the victors and institutions. The suffering, struggle, and truth of ordinary individuals are erased almost instantly by the machinery of power. Harakiri is not merely a revenge samurai film. It is a razor-sharp blade cutting through the hollow core of Bushido ideology. Through the tragic bamboo sword seppuku, the suffering of Motome, and Hanshiro's final act of vengeance, the film exposes a system that kills in the name of honor while denying humanity itself. But its most devastating tragedy is not death. It is the complete failure of justice. Hanshiro dies to speak truth, but truth is buried under official lies. The 2 clan rewrites the record. And the suffering of the weak is sealed away forever. That is why, even decades later, this film continues to resonate so powerfully, because it is not only about samurai Japan, but about how any system of power can erase truth once it becomes inconvenient.